Hello, friends. I'm Kalpana from Reading Expeditions, and I'm here today to read with you chapter 1 of James and the Giant Peach by Roald Dahl. This is a read along series. You can read with me if you would like to improve your English or you would like to form a habit of reading. Chapter 1. Until he was 4 years old, James Henry Trotter had a happy life. He lived peacefully with his mother and father in a beautiful house beside the sea. There were always plenty of other children for him to play with, and there was the sandy beach for him to run about on and the ocean to paddle in. It was the perfect life for a small boy. Then, one day, James' mother and father went to London to do some shopping, and there a terrible thing happened. Both of them suddenly got eaten up by an enormous angry rhinoceros, which had escaped from the London Zoo. Now, this, as you can well imagine, was a rather nasty experience for two such gentle parents. But in the long run, it was far nastier for James than it was for them. Their troubles were all over in a jiffy. They were dead and gone in 35 seconds flat. We'll stop here. I'll just explain to you some words. Okay? So, the word nastier, the base word is nasty. And then we can nasty, nastier, nastiest. So this is nasty is an adjective, and we have the three forms, the positive, comparative, and the superlative of the word. So this is the comparative form, which is nastier, comparing with nasty. So we have nasty in the second line, nasty experience, and it was far nastier. Okay, a comparative, a little degree higher than nasty. Okay, then we come to this word in the fourth line, which is jiffy. Jiffy means in a moment. It just happened in a moment. Their life finished in a moment. Okay? They were dead and gone in 35 seconds flat. Poor James, on the other hand, was still very much alive. And all at once he found himself alone and frightened in a vast, unfriendly world. The lovely house by the seaside had to be sold immediately, and the little boy, carrying nothing but a small suitcase containing a pair of pyjamas and a toothbrush, was sent away to live with his two aunts. Now, in the next few lines, we've come across this word called pyjamas. Now, the origin of this word is from a Hindi word called pajama that we all know, we are familiar with. Okay? So, there are numerous words that have been picked up from various languages. Quite a few of them have been picked up from Hindi as well. So pajama is one such word. Their names were Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker. And I'm sorry to say that they were both really horrible people. They were selfish and lazy and cruel, and right from the beginning, they started beating poor James for almost no reason at all. They never called him by his real name, but always referred to him as "you disgusting little beast," or "you filthy nuisance," or "you miserable creature." And they certainly never gave him any toys to play with or any picture books to look at. His room was as bare as a prison cell. Now, prison cell, what is a prison cell? The room that you have in which the inmates are put. So the walls are all bare. Like you use this word barefoot. When you're not wearing your slippers, it is barefoot. So similarly, you can use this word bare in situations where the usual thing is not there. Okay, like bare walls because there's no picture, there's nothing on the wall. Barefoot because you're not wearing any footwear. So that's how this word is used. They lived, Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker, and now James as well, in a queer, ramshackle house on the top of a high hill in the south of England. The hill was so high that from almost anywhere in the garden, James could look down and see for miles and miles across a marvelous landscape of woods and fields. And on a very clear day, if he looked in the right direction, he could see a tiny grey dot far away on the horizon, which was the house that he used to live in with his beloved mother and father. Now, queer ramshackle is an odd house which was in no way repairable. Okay, so that's the kind of house both the aunts lived in, and but the scenery around the house is beautiful. And on a clear day, if he stood there, he could see his previous house like a gray dot there on the horizon. What's the horizon? When you look at, if you are standing near a field and you look at the fields and there are no houses and your vision is not obstructed by anything, for miles and miles you see that there is land, and then you see that there is a point where you see the land and the sky both meeting. That is called horizon. Okay. So which was the house? Okay, we've read this. And just beyond that, he could see the ocean itself. A long thin streak of blackish blue, like a line of ink beneath the rim of the sky. So then you can see, a long thin streak, and beneath the rim, he could see the ocean like that in the form of a thin line. Okay? But James was never allowed to go down off the top of that hill. Neither Aunt Sponge nor Aunt Spiker could ever be bothered to take him out herself, not even for a small walk or a picnic, and he certainly wasn't permitted to go alone. The nasty little beast will only get into mischief if he goes out of the garden, Aunt Spiker had said, and terrible punishments were promised him, such as being locked up in the cellar with the rats for a week, even if he even so much as dared to climb over the fence. So, the aunts had already told him that he would be punished if he ever wanted to go out of the fence. So, these were the things, that he would be locked up in the cellar. What's a cellar? Cellar is a storage place underground. Okay, like we call them basements here. So, a basement kind of thing. Okay. The garden, which covered the whole of the top of the hill, was large and desolate. And the only tree in the entire place, apart from a clump of dirty old laurel bushes at the far end, was an ancient peach tree that never gave any peaches. Now there was this peach tree, they're calling it ancient because it's a very old tree. Okay. So ancient means old. Okay. So the old tree. Peach is a fruit, and peach is also a color. And this color peach comes from this fruit peach. Okay. So we have taken this word from this fruit. The peach color has been taken from this fruit, which is little pinkish, orangish color. Okay. There was no swing, no seesaw, no sandpit, and no other children were ever invited to come up the hill to play with poor James. There wasn't so much as a dog or a cat around to keep him company. And as time went on, he became sadder and sadder. Remember, we had done this word nasty, and then we had nastier. So it's an adjective and it has positive form. Then you have the middle form, which is the comparative form when you are comparing two things. And then you have the superlative form, which is the maximum form. Okay. So here we have another word, another adjective, which is in this form, which is sadder. Now sadder is in the comparative form. The base form or the positive form is sad, sadder, saddest. Okay. Like nasty, nastier, nastiest. And more lonely, and he used to spend hours every day standing at the bottom of the garden, gazing wistfully at the lovely but forbidden world of woods and fields and oceans that was spread out below him like a magic carpet. And he would stand there close to the fence looking at all this beautiful, beautiful scenery that was all around him. Poor little boy, isn't it? he was not allowed to go anywhere and play with other children, and there was nobody around. So it was sad for a little boy to stay alone and not be allowed to go anywhere. Thank you. Happy reading. Try reading it on your own. Thank you.